Airbnb versus VRBO. Which one's better? How do you set prices? How do you choose where to list your rental? That's all the stuff that me and my friend Matt, who's an expert at Airbnb and short-term rentals, are gonna talk about in this segment of our hour-long video. So remember, if you do wanna watch some of the other segments, look for those at the beginning or end of this video or down in the comment section below. I will post links to the other segments of this interview because it was really long, it needed to be broken down. So stay tuned and check this one out and let me know down in the comments if you have any questions for Matt, because I'd love to have him back on and talk more things short-term rental. A quick question on Airbnb and VRBO. Which one would you say you get more of your clients from?
Oh, Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
It is more popular.
It's more popular here. Okay, so from research that I've done, there are some cities in the United States that VRBO is much more popular. They focus on it more. Generally, areas that are big touristy areas have a lot of VRBO clients. I will get, just pulling this number out of the air, probably one VRBO client for every 7 or 8 Airbnb.
Okay. Wow.
So it's yeah, I would say on average that's about right. But I definitely know some people that 90% of their guests come from VRBO. So it's there, but not locally in Washington.
Interesting. So you didn't answer my main question. We went off on this unbelievable tangent, but I still do want to know, what is your average occupancy rate? Is this thing rented out half the month?
Okay, boy, that's a tricky one because it depends on the month. It depends on the month. I mean, if I said over the entire year, I would say probably 72 to 75%. Okay, over the entire year on average. But July, August, 98%, 100%. There might be some Tuesdays that randomly aren't connected. February, 25, 30%. That's just the nature of the beast. I mean, September and February are very low months for travel. Kids go back to school. And at least in Washington, February it's cold and dreary, and nobody's coming here.
Right.
Nobody's coming here.
Not around here.
But because I do focus on a lot of skiers from out of state, even though it's a good hour drive to the ski resort, people book this because I say it's only an hour to the ski resort. And that sounds ridiculous to you and I, but skiers don't care, especially if they can be out of the snow and still be, a few minutes from a store or right off the freeway so they can go drive somewhere.
I always say that this place, Bonnie Lake, right where we happen to live, is just wife magnet material. We're like 30 seconds from Costco, Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, Target. Everything that you can imagine. Like if you wanted to be a rich suburban mom, this is where you want to live.
Right, but as they can probably see behind me, it looks like we're in the woods. And people say that all the time. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe how rural this was." And I'm like, "Rural? It's like like literally like Walmart's like a block from here, and Lowe's and Target and all that." But just because this one street, and of course, if you're from a city, that there aren't trees, especially outside of Washington, you're going to be like, "Oh my God, this is the most beautiful property I've ever seen." So
in the Pacific Northwest, the mountain, the beautiful sky, all the evergreens. It is funny because I work in Seattle a lot, and I was a police officer. I'm there, and it's a concrete jungle. And so if you're coming from New York, Chicago, LA, or something like that, this just looks like the Wild West. Okay, so I want to talk about specific additions. You mentioned earlier a hot tub. Can you tell us about things that allow you to charge more beyond obviously just the hot tub, and then the general ambiance, the experience you've created in here with it being themed in the 1960s? What else do you have?
Okay, well, starting with the hot tub, I mean, because this is a 4-bedroom house, I will set a maximum of 8 people. Okay. Although early on I was kind of like, well, I could get 2 people on a pull-out couch, and I've got the second living room downstairs with a tiki room. They could have another pull-out couch. I can get 12 people in here. Again, wear and tear destroys the house, and the advantage of being able to allow 12 people compared to 8 people is negligible. If someone's got 12 people, they can go rent a mansion. More power to you. I don't want 12 people in this house. The toilets couldn't handle 12 people in this house. So having it up to its what the maximum realistic but also not too crowded amount of people in the house is relevant. Okay, hot tub in a house this size is perfect because I have it out in the back in the woods so that, deer will actually come up to the hot tub when people are in it. That's cool. And that's marketable.
Yeah.
And so, having that, because people will often say, oh, hot tubs are something that it's a hassle and they break and you got to clean them constantly and Totally true. Totally true. Worth every penny.
Mm-hmm.
The second, I bought that. I bought it from Costco,
Mm-hmm.
right when I bought this property. So it was relatively inexpensive for a hot tub. The house happened to have already been wired up for a hot tub,
Nice.
so that saved me thousands in electrical fees. So we literally just kind of plugged in 3 wires and it was ready to go.
Nice.
But I do have the cleanup of that, but it's totally worth it because I can charge a lot more because there just aren't that many houses with hot tub, and that's something that when someone is on Airbnb, for example, they can push lots of buttons that says, does the house have this? Does the house have this? And suddenly, if someone says, okay, well, I'm looking for something that I can put eight people in, okay? And they put that in with a 30-mile radius, there might be 500 houses, okay? But then they suddenly hit hot tub and it goes down to 35 houses.
Right.
And then they look at the pictures and they go, wow, that house is cool. And that's a big factor is, the pictures. But the way I design this house, people go, oh my God, like this is the coolest house I've ever been in. Because cool. Most people just decorate and they'll have decorators come in and they're cool and they're all that. But I have this, so people come in and they're like, I feel like I went back in time.
Yeah.
Cool. and it's cool, but it has the things that keep it up to date. But like the fact is, like, I'll have people go, ooh, I want that bedroom instead of going, I just want the master, because they like that shade of green, or they want to be in the yellow bedroom. Like it's wild. It's wild. But also giving people something that they don't have at home is key. Okay. Everybody lives somewhere. You live in a house, you live in an apartment, whatever it might be. It's normal. You live in it every day. When was the last time you were in a house that had a tiki room? Yeah. Like it had a bar that was dark and gloomy and has a fireplace and the Easter Island head in it and an actual bar that opens up that you can play games in and all. I mean, it's wild. And that in itself, people go, I want that house. This other house is cool. Right. And it might even be cheaper, but this house is cool. Like this house is so unusual. I don't have that at home. And that's of course what a hot tub brings. But that's what just having an unusual house brings. Right. And so mid-century modern is my love. Okay. At my own house, which I think we invited you to our luau in the summertime. I think we invited you to that, but we have a luau in the summertime because our personal house, 1962, same year. And that one has a massive tiki room and all that. And so like, I have always been like, that's what I love to decorate as. And so if you can find that thing that you're good at, that you love, just like when you're starting a business or you want to get into real estate because you like real estate, you have an interest in real estate, find that thing that you love and bring that into your business. Bringing that, my love of mid-century modern, into my business has made me know what I'm doing and has also made it right, has made it correct, so that an average person coming in goes, this is the coolest house I've ever been to. I want to spend a lot of money there.
Right. I like it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense because when you're looking at places that you want to stay at, and anytime I've stayed at some place in an Airbnb, the ones that did pop out as unique, I think about when I went skiing with one of my friends. It was like, oh, this is the one with the giant 2-story fireplace. It's got the loft above. I don't have a loft. It's got a 2-story fireplace. I don't have that at home. It has the beautiful views, has the hot tub that's on the deck, so you can go out in the snow but be in the hot tub. So I understand all that comes together from a marketing aspect, and that's something that you've said over and over again as you want to market it. My next question for you is, when you keep saying, I'm going to market it this way, what do you mean? Is it the way you write your listing? Do you have videos associated with the house? Like, how do you market it to people? Yes and yes. But the of course, pictures are one. Pictures are always going to be number one because that's what people look at, even if they never read a description. However, if you read the description that I've written, so like I said, my background is in marketing. I've been marketing since I was 18 years old. I love marketing. Okay. So I wrote my description
as if it were almost a travelogue of welcome to 1962.
Cool.
And so it's written in such a way that people go, hey, honey, you got to come read this. Like that's, that in itself is a step above just going, oh, this house has 3 bedrooms and it has enough room for us. Right. Like, I mean, simple things like that are so key that if you do that, you're going to just destroy everybody. We make a lot of money at this property because there just isn't anything like it. But when it comes down to it, it's just a house.
Yeah.
It's just a house. But it's a house I don't live in. So I can do kind of ridiculous things to it that work for people staying for a weekend or staying for a week that might be inconvenient for someone to live in, for example, if they didn't want to have a tiki room, for example. But because no one's actually living here full time, make it a hotel, make it a resort, make it a place that tells people I need to come back here over and over and over. Every single time I'm in Seattle, I'm going to stay at this place. And I have a lot of repeat customers because of it.
Now that's another thing that I would ask. Yeah, so repeat customers. Is it, again, just, hey, we're coming back to Seattle skiing in the same area again? And, I mean, probably not a whole lot of my kids are getting married in the same spot.
I hope not.
I would imagine. Yeah, exactly. They got divorced, getting remarried. We're back again.
3rd time's a charm.
But yeah, repeat customers. Can you tell us, like, how frequently is that? What type of loyalty can you build with people? So
I do. Now, this property I've only had for, let's see, at this point, we're looking at 20 months or so that I've been open. And there definitely have been people that have come back at the same time over that year, because they come to town in the first week of May or whatever it might be. I have had people that there's been a lot of family members of local people. That's a whole market of the Airbnb world that you don't hear too much about. Is I'm coming to town for Thanksgiving, and I don't want to stay. Yeah, and I don't want to stay with my in-laws. I want to stay down the street. They don't have room for me, or I just don't want to hang out with them 24 hours a day. So I need a place, or our family needs a place. And so that, just like with the weddings, there's just people need something, and they need something a little bit larger if they're going to have a group of people to it. So there's a whole aspect of the short-term market that is very marketable that way. Of, hey, you're in town, or for some reason, stay at my place, even though you have work somewhere else. So there have been a lot of people that have been coming in going, I'm here to work on my kid's house for the weekend, or I'm staying in town for the week. I'm out of state. I'm staying in town for the week to remodel my kid's basement, or a family member such and such, and they just need a place to stay, and they don't necessarily want to stay with the family.
Makes sense. So how many total properties do you have?
Right now, just this one.
Just okay.
It's been a tricky one as far as what I want to do with this. This property runs itself at this point, and I love that. I come in, I do the hot tub, or my adult son does, just for the sake of getting something done, and that we like to just kind of check on the property. Other than that, it runs itself. The housekeeper deals with everything, which is really, really nice. I would look for something else if it was the right property. I've gone back and forth, just like I did before I bought this one, of should I just buy a lot of them? Should I, well, the reason I decided on short term over even midterm and long term is just I like large amounts of money. My goal.
Who doesn't?
You like a lot of you say that you like to push the easy button, and that's what you do with your numerous properties in the Midwest, and you get your $100 or $200 from each of those, and it adds up. It adds up. My goal is to do the exact same thing with the smallest amount of properties. Okay, so if I have one property that makes more than 5 little properties together, theoretically the amount of work is less. And I make more. And more important than anything is I love this. Like, I love doing this. My interest in long-term rental, it's just not there. Like, it'd be great. I like free money, and real estate isn't hard. Anybody can get into it. But it's also like, I would just rather do something that I can put my love into it and make money. That being said, I do pay attention to like Cody and Christian. I'm sure you've mentioned them before, and those guys are great. And they put me on the eye of kind of that multifamily tract. Because that's the same type of thing where I would almost look at it. Also, what they've done with that Robinhood resort,
it's cool.
is like I would look at something like that, and I would say I want to buy a property that has the coolness factor. Like this property has the coolness factor that I could take and just make it themed somehow that people go, I want to go there. That it's not just another resort, it's not just another hotel, and I have a lot of friends that have relatively deep pockets and are looking for things to invest in. But it would take the right property. And in Washington, it is difficult, as you know, to find that right property. It's out there, and when it pops up, I will jump on it, and I will do that next thing. But I'm in no rush. It's more along the lines of when that happens, it happens. I've been financially independent for quite a few years. I do as much or as little work as I want to, but I don't sit at home just sitting on the couch watching TV. I could never do that. I won't do that when I'm 80 years old. So I'm always looking for that next thing anyway. It's not about the money. It's about the love of doing the thing, and the money comes with that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're making a very similar case to what I hear Dion tell me all the time. Mike, stop buying 10 properties for the same cash flow I get out of 2.
Yeah.
Well, Dion, those 2 properties are really expensive, though. Like, yeah, but I'm doing a lot less work. All right, fair enough. Okay, so let's look back at when you actually set up the Airbnb. So as we're sitting in here in the living room dining area, obviously we have a table. We have a nice little lounging area with plenty of seating to accommodate the up to 6 people.
8 people.
Excuse me, 8 people. I apologize. When you set up a bedroom, what are the necessities for the bedroom?
Okay, a bedroom. You have a bed. You have a closet that has some sort of storage space in it. So a couple of rooms here are not that physically large. It's an older home. That was not the thought process. The master bedroom's large, but some of the rooms are a little bit smaller. And so I was really back and forth as well. Do I want to put a dresser in, for example? And then I just discovered on Amazon these setups that you can basically put into a closet that are like cubby holes. Okay. And so people can use them for putting their shirts and socks and underwear and all those types of things. And it goes in the closet. Because these are full-size closets, if someone's staying for 2 nights or 4 nights or a week or a couple weeks, they don't need a full closet full of hanging up stuff like you do at home, because they don't bring, all year's worth of clothing. So having just kind of that space in there, it works perfectly. Besides that, I do not put televisions in the rooms.
Really?
Okay. So that's
breaking down the barriers right now. I thought that was a must. People
say you have to put a TV in every bedroom. I say not this house. Okay. Now this house has 2 living rooms. It has a living room and the tiki room. The living room has this custom wood television here that I had designed to look like if a flat screen television existed in 1962, this is what it would look like. That's so all right. Cool. So I had a wood guy come in and measure it and all that kind of stuff. And then there's one in the tiki room. And I've turned those into places that the family would go to. Now there's 2 televisions, so if someone did bring their kids, the adults can watch up here and the kids can watch downstairs, great. But to have a TV in every single bedroom, that's just splitting people off. People are coming into a place like this to hang out together. But there is still enough space that they don't have to be on each other. And again, if we had 12 people in here, they'd be all over each other. So there is enough space to kind of spread out and watch TV, and 2 TVs if they want to. But there's also Wi-Fi, so they could watch on their phone or whatever if they wanted to. But I do not have TVs in the bedroom, including the master bedroom, and I've never had a single complaint about it.
Interesting.
Other than that, I do have, now the lamps that I have on the bedside tables, I do have 2 bedside tables in each room, if someone needs that for anything. And the lamps, they're in theme, so they look like they're 1962. However, they do have USB plugs on them, so that someone can just plug in the USB. Other than that, curtains to make it dark.
Okay.
Oh, and a mirror.
Okay.
A mirror. I have the mirrors on the backs of the doors, and that works, and that's it for bedrooms.
So, what size bed?
Oh, so always have at least 1 king.
Okay.
So the master gets the king.
Okay.
All right. I have 4 bedrooms. The 2 medium rooms have queens, and then the smallest room has a double, which 8 people can go into. So oftentimes you'll have people, and I have convinced other owners not to do this because they'll say, "Oh, I want to have a lot of people in the house. Let me put bunk beds in."
Right.
Okay. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. Because who goes on a bunk bed? Two kids.
Yep.
One kid, another kid.
Only
all right?
kids.
And only kids. That's right. So, yeah, yes, true, an adult can sleep on the bottom, but an adult is not going to sleep on the top, most likely. You have a queen or a double in there, you can get 2 adults, or you can get 2 kids on that bed. Kids, they might not want to sleep with their sibling, but they're going to because they're on vacation, and that one, the parents win on that one. And so never have bunk beds unless you are in such a tiny room. And the one room that we have here is a pretty small room, but I was able to get the double with the 1 side table, and it works. It works. And you can get 2 people in there, no problem.
So I'm hearing 1 king bed, 2 bedside tables, unless the room's very small. After the king bed, you're going to queen-sized beds. You need a mirror in every single room, no TVs, and then lamps. And ideally lamps with plugins and USB so that people have the modern convenience.
Have the USB in there, because however you do it, whether you have it in the wall outlets, if you upgrade those. But I like it because, again, we're trying to stay in theme, and it's convenient because on the lamp bedside table is right next to you, so you can just plug it in right there already. Because that is one thing people tend to forget are the plugs for their phones,
smartphones. So now let's talk about the kitchen and the bathroom. So when it comes to the kitchen, you had mentioned earlier that you like all of the little creature comforts in terms of like coffee, tea, hot chocolate. But what about appliances? Not necessarily appliances, but like the cutlery and that type of stuff. What do we have in there?
Every piece of cutlery that you would use at home, outside of baking items. Okay.
No baking.
So I have cookie sheets. I have large mixing bowls, but I don't have like mixing tools, for example. But I do have a blender and a toaster and a coffee maker and a water kettle, and then lots of knives and I have enough plates for everyone. And enough outside plates and cups for everyone. And also, because there's a hot tub, plastic cups for everyone, because people are going to do that. I don't want glass in there because obviously that's going to be a problem. And there's just like little notes on there that says, the outside cups, like, in case they can't figure that out on their own. That gives them just a hint of, okay, these are the ones that we're going to take out on the balcony to eat lunch, for example. So yes, having a fully stocked, but it also includes like spices. Like you can get a spice rack filled with spices for like $30 on Amazon that rolls around in a circle and has like 30 spices on it. Totally worth it. People love it. They use it and they compliment it. I also do give treats out to people. I have a little bowl that has, again, it's all themed. So I have bags of chips, but like I buy from a specific brand that like looks like old timey chips. I give them a box of Cracker Jacks.
Nice.
You're gonna love this. I give them a box of candy cigarettes because that's one of those things. You have a retired couple that come in here going, "Oh my God, I haven't seen one of these things in years." They still exist and they're cool. And I don't want people smoking in here, obviously, but it's one of those things. And I mean, we've shown that to our kids when they were younger. We're like, "This is a candy cigarette. This is the weirdest candy that's ever existed." And they're like, "That's so cool and so weird, and I want to eat them."
That's
so,
hilarious.
and then we also give them like a nice bag of coffee, like ground up coffee, but like a local Seattle coffee. We get a lot of tourists out, and of course, Seattle's famous for coffee, so give them a local coffee. But we give them in a closed bag that they can take home, like it's as a gift, compared to having like one large container of coffee that's shareable between guests. People don't want that. But yeah, have a fully stocked kitchen. The bathroom is also one of those things, like having the container of Q-tips. Things people don't think about. I mean, having tissues, like boxes of tissues. I mean, no brainers. Hair dryer. Hair dryers. Like having hair dryers in both bathrooms. Have in the shower the dispenser that's attached to the wall. Okay, so it has the shampoo, conditioner, and soap that you basically refill, and so you have your housekeeper just refill those constantly, and then you don't have messy containers everywhere. You don't have a lot of the waste. If you and this one people argue about in a lot of the Airbnb groups of should you give them a bottle of whatever that they can take home, or only have fancy shampoos and all that. Generally, if people care about fancy shampoos, they bring their own. My wife, doesn't go anywhere without her fancy shampoos and soaps, and because she has allergies and all those things. So that she uses what she uses. I don't care.
Right.
Does it smell good and does it work? Perfect. But if I'm at a hotel and they have these bottles and we either use a tiny little bit or don't use any at all, it's still most likely going to get thrown away, or I'm going to steal it and bring it home. And then it just becomes a cost. So if you put it in there, and you of course can buy in bulk that way, buy the large containers of soap refills and just refill it, and that's a good one too. So yeah, bathrooms are great.
All right, guys, hopefully that segment of the interview was beneficial to you. And if you want to see the next segment of the interview, you're going to need to click here where we're going to talk about what specifically to do for my Airbnb in my area. So this one's a little bit more relevant to me, but Matt gives me a lot of really good advice for how I can make the most out of my first Airbnb.